Shame, I think, is the silent emotion that we all feel but don't speak out loud. So guilt is something we talk about because that's our actions. Shame is something we hide. It's differentiating between what I did and who I am. Shame is something that is deeply profound and something we really keep hidden from people. Shame is a unique emotion, and I'd like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Shame is the emotion that says, not that I did bad, but I am bad. What's your relationship like with shame?
Shame and disappointment, in my mind, are very similar.
Shame and disappointment.
So if I feel shame, I'm disappointed in myself. I feel like I've let somebody down. I feel like I've like mistrust is another word that comes to mind. Like I've broken somebody else's trust. Or maybe even my own.
I think a lot of people might get shame and guilt close together.
Yeah.
Because guilt is like, I did a bad thing. You're aware that you've crossed a line. You did something you shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Whereas shame says, I am a bad person. It's that internal shift, isn't it? It's like what Mark Manson says of the meta emotions. It feels like shame is a larger meta emotion. But I might be wrong. That might be how I'm interpreting it, because shame for me feels like my whole body goes cold, man. I don't know about you, but when I feel shame, I'm like, oh, I just want to bury my head away.
Yeah.
I just want to cover myself up and just hide. You know, because we've all done a bad thing, but then that experience of that emotion, that shame you feel, do you think it's because we perceive other people have noticed we've done the bad thing?
Yeah. Maybe it's embarrassment as well. Embarrassment, I think, plays into it.
Why? Why do you think embarrassment plays into it?
If it's other people looking at us and acknowledging that we've done something wrong, it's like you would feel embarrassed because you've not done the thing that's publicly.
It draws attention to you in the worst way.
Yeah.
So rather than being like, you did well, my attention is on you because you've done a good thing. If my attention is on you because you've done a bad thing.
Yeah.
You've kind of fucked up here.
You've taken away from the community rather than added, or the group rather than added. Can I give an example?
Please do.
Like when I was a kid, I was in primary school and I was actually quite badly behaved, if you can believe it.
I cannot imagine that the kid that has deep-rooted ADHD was badly behaved. That shocks me.
I don't have ADHD. I'm normal. I just work hard.
Okay.
It's true. I don't. I think I'm interesting. That's what I think. But anyway,
Okay,
yeah, reception, year one, like really
if
young.
If my grandmother had male genitals, she'd be my grandpa. But yeah.
If my grandmother had a bike,
if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be the bike.
Brilliant quote. Absolutely brilliant. Shame Holly Willoughby's crushing people in a Mini Cooper now. Did you see that in the news? Oh, right. She knocked over somebody in a Mini Cooper.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if she killed him or not. He was a drunk walking around the road, so I'm on her side. But if he wasn't a drunk and I've got that wrong, like, you know, maybe she should pay more attention. But
you say an example. You were a poorly behaved kid, which we all were shocked to hear.
So I thought it was a really cool idea to think, oh, well, I've got this, I've heard somewhere that school is bad and I don't want to be here. So I'm going to assume that role of like, I'm in school and I don't want to be here. What's the thing that can make sure I didn't have to come into school tomorrow? No malicious intent. I just didn't want to go the next day, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not true. I wouldn't have minded going the next day. It was just the idea I had in my head. What's the one thing that could guarantee I wouldn't have to go to school tomorrow? Burn it down. So I was like, okay, well,
That's very extreme.
Let's think about this logically. This is my 6-year-old brain. What causes fire without having to hold something suspicious? And the best solution I came up with was AA batteries.
You have a hair on your face. It's really bothering me.
I do apologise.
I don't know where you got that. It's not a
safe hair. It's not
human hair.
It's just fluff.
You've been rolling around on the carpet again.
I'm sorry. I get bored.
You're saying double A batteries?
Yeah. So
specifically double A's, or
yeah, that in my head because that was small enough to be concealed.
Not triple A.
Not powerful enough in my head.
Okay.
Right. I was like, okay, well, I need to get hold of some double A batteries, and I'll tell you where this is going.
I'm on the edge of my seat, mate.
Double A, where can I get double? So I spoke to one of my friends at the time, James Muir, who is an absolute genius. Like he was all the way back then, he still is now. I don't know what he's doing, but I think he went into software after school. Like it's absolute legend. I wonder how he's doing. Anyway, I went to my secondary school as well, and he said, well, I can get hold of some double A batteries. And I spoke to another one of my friends as well, George Edwards. And he said, I can get hold of batteries. I'll get them from my older brother, who was in year 11 at the time. No, year 7 at the time, because our school went from reception to year 7 and one class in each year group. So it was a 200-person school. And anyway, so we managed to get hold of like loads of double A batteries, which may or may not have been charged. I didn't even check. I was like, okay, cool. We've got the batteries. Step 1 of the plan complete. Next, how do we actually make a fire with double A batteries? And we thought, yes, we've always been told don't put electrics and water together because it creates a fire. Therefore, the only solution to my problem to burn down the school is to take loads of double A batteries and flush them down the toilet. So we went into but we were clever. We didn't go into the toilets in our classroom because reception in year 1 had toilets in their classroom. We went to the year 5 and year 6 toilets and went in there because we thought, we'll never get caught this way, right? So we went in there, flushed them down the toilet, and went home. And we were a bit disappointed because there was no fire. It didn't work. Came back into school the next day.
What a fucking shock.
We were a bit let down, but in theory, in my 6-year-old brain, I was like, well, this is electricity and there is water, therefore it should work. I didn't quite have an exit strategy for what had happened if the whole thing had just exploded in front of me, but next day in school, the teachers are going round every class that has both a James and a Will in it, and I saw the year 6s, they were forced to sit outside their classroom. There was a Will and a James sat outside the year 6 classroom. I was like, I wonder what they've done wrong. And then later on the afternoon, me and my friend James were asked to go and sit outside the classroom because James, the person in year 6, the brother of the George, said, I gave batteries to my younger brother because they said they found some batteries in the toilet. It clogged the toilets. And then we're sat outside that classroom. I was like, I'm probably in deep doo-doo here. And then was taken to the headmistress's office in year 1. And was told off, and I felt incredible shame. And it was fear of having to go back and dad coming home after work and like finding out that his kid has been trying to blow up the school.
I think that's a stretch, trying to blow up the school. But talk to me about the shame.
Yeah, so the shame. It was very embarrassing being sat outside there. Because there were teachers walking past that didn't know what was going on. We were like, why are you sat outside the classroom? We were like, and because I think we went probably quite shy. They were like, you're in trouble. Okay. Carried on walking. And then parents just couldn't believe that I'd been so soon. He's like, we had to have cleaners stick their hands down the toilet. Do you want to stick your hands down the toilet? I said, no, I don't want to put my hands in the toilet. Right, well, why have you made other people do it? And I think at the same time as well, somebody would take, like drying your hand tissues. They'd been putting them in the toilet at the same time, and then all the signs came up the following week saying don't put those tissues in the toilet. But somebody had done that at the same time, so they were doubly clogged, these toilets. They probably found the tissues first and then the batteries. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was really embarrassed, felt a lot of shame, and I didn't misbehave after that.
So do you think the shame serves to keep us in line with societal norms?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm taking from everything, is we feel the shame because it was against what we were told is right. It's against the societal norms. So it's to prevent that destructive behavior from happening again.
Yeah, if you're surrounded by people, it probably goes back to tribal times when if you let down the rest of the group, they wouldn't want you as part of the tribe anymore and you wouldn't survive if you're out on your own.
Like if you were to eat all of the food, you would feel bad, which would then make you feel shame because it's against the societal norms. It's what would have kept people safe.
Yeah.
Okay, so shame is, we're suggesting, a deep-rooted emotion in our evolutionary psychology, serving as a tool to keep us aligned with societal norms and prevent the behavior from happening again. Do you think people feel shame on different degrees?
Yeah.
So if something is moderately bad, they feel it moderate degree of shame. If it's very bad, big degree of shame. But then, furthermore, do you think people experience different degrees of shame? So say we both experience a 50% degree of shame, if there is such a thing, but you experience it as a 40%, I experience it as an 80%.
Yeah.
Because surely we've got to all experience shame in slightly different ways.
I think we have different emotional bandwidth. I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So like you might feel happy in a situation and your max happiness you could possibly feel is 10 times higher than mine because you've allowed yourself to have that wide emotional bandwidth. We've spoken before about me keeping it very shallow.
I gotta tell you about a new tattoo I want to get just based on that. It's, completely off topic.
Will's happiness versus kindness.
It's a graph. It's a bar chart.
Yeah. Line. I'd use a line.
Okay.
I'd have a colour that represents Connor and a line that represents Will.
Maybe a pie. But anyway, sorry. We feel shame because it's a painful emotion linked to a perceived flaw or an actual flaw.
Yeah, and it's rejection, isn't it? It's rejection from the group.
Social judgment.
Yeah.
Desire to hide, feeling of worthlessness. I'm curious how other people feel it, because when I feel shame, it's like a pit in the stomach, you know? I'm sure other people can relate to that feeling of when you feel like you've done something bad and you start feeling shameful. I feel empty. I'm like, oh God. It feels like someone sucker punched me in the stomach and I'm like, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. That's how I experience shame. It's a real visceral feeling. You know, some emotions, all emotions are felt in the body, but this one just feels like it's all encompassing as well.
It's one of the only ones that makes you really want to change your behaviour.
Yeah. Why do we think that is? Because like you say, you might get anger, but it doesn't encourage you to change your behaviour. It might feel sadness, but it doesn't necessarily encourage you to change your behaviour. Whereas shame kind of does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's because the shame comes from doing something bad.
Yeah, and I
It's
think
only a byproduct of doing something wrong or bad. So it makes us feel like we need to change it because there was a reason we're feeling this emotion.
And the pressure from everybody else around you to change and not do that again. Whereas when you're sad, there's not that. When there's happiness, there's not that. When there's grief, there's not that. When there's anger, maybe with anger you do have a larger tendency to lash out. But you feel, when you're angry, you feel like you're in control a little bit more. Whereas with shame, it's sort of, you've done something wrong and you have no power.
Yeah, I see the point you made. It's so visceral. It's so consuming because you've done the thing wrong. It's like, oh, wow.
You've been truly humbled.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, it's a weird one, shame, isn't it? I suppose, do you think it's easy to spot shame in people? So if you were experiencing shame, could I notice it in you, or is it only something that we experience ourselves?
You might notice by, like, if I suddenly start, like, if I do something wrong on a podcast.
Frequently.
Well, yeah. But if I do something that's, like, truly shameful, like, got naked and rubbed my butt all over the table mid-podcast, right?
It was a little wiggle in your chair. For those of you that haven't got video turned on, Will did a little
a little wiggle. There's probably quite a lot of shame that would come from that post-podcast. Mm-hmm. Like, you might have words with me and be like, Will, that's...
Well, you need to sit down, put your trousers back on, and we need to have words.
Maybe you shouldn't do that again. You know, I might feel shame and embarrassment, and therefore I might end up cancelling the next podcasts. So you might see it that way. You might not see me in person, but you can tell from my actions that I would feel shame.
Okay. Do you think we experience that also as shame? You know, would I go, oh, Will's cancelled it because he was feeling shameful? Or is it a leap and a jump for us to assume that?
Well, I don't know. What would you think if I was to be a naked butt on the table wiggling about, and you told me off about that? You said, "Will, this is I'd be amazed if we actually finished that podcast."
Yeah, I'd be like, what are we discussing that's caused this sort of reaction?
Will, this is a hell of an example you're giving. Yeah, and then I was to cancel the podcast the next day. What would be your assumptions?
I think you could probably notice shame in the moment. Because likely if someone's experiencing shame, they're probably giving subtle cues. They're probably making themselves look smaller. They're probably avoiding eye contact.
Maybe get flushed cheeks.
Yeah,
Get
maybe.
embarrassed. I mean, the ones on your face, not in my naked example.
Nice. Yeah, so I think there would be subtle cues that you could tell in person. But then it makes me wonder other people that feel shame. Because someone might do something wrong and then just feel completely fine with it. So is shame something we all feel?
I think it probably is. I just think, as we said, it's felt on different levels. So one person's 100% could be equivalent to the other person's 10%.
But if it's coming from, we're experiencing shame as like a social survival. If we're experiencing this emotion because it tells us we've acted out, we've done something wrong, and it's ostracizing us from the group, would it be then that people that feel like they are more of a lone ranger, more able to cope on their own 2 feet, maybe have a less degree of shame? Because again, if it's that tool that we're using internally to make us aware that we've done something wrong and the societal pressures are to do something right, if someone felt completely confident in who they are, they would then not feel shame?
Yeah, I think it is probably to do with self-confidence.
But I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if it's...
No.
Because I think confident people still feel shame. So I wonder if it's an arrogance thing. I've also just noticed I've not brought in our water. I apologise.
That's all right.
But I do think it's... Because confident people probably still feel shame. But is it lack of empathy? Maybe that's what it is. It's people that have a lack of empathy don't feel shame. Because they're less able to understand that they've actually done something wrong.
Yeah, could easily be. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I'm trying to think of people who don't have much shame or don't get easily embarrassed by doing the wrong thing. Like people who make mistakes on stage, for example, probably don't feel shame. People who offend people on stage. Like, I was watching a Louis Theroux documentary about the... it's like a white supremacist political movement that's happening mostly through live streaming. And they do in-person talks as well. And they're like on stage in front of 200 people saying blatantly racist things. And I doubt they come off stage feeling shame. And maybe that's because they're doing it in front of 200 supporters. There's nothing in the moment. Whereas maybe if they were given the same speech to a room of black people and being incredibly racist, then the overall tone of the room would be making them feel shame, maybe.
But I think it probably comes down to, in that scenario, your values. So if these people likely... I hate having to empathise with people that are racist, but to put myself in their shoes, if they're, say, racist against immigration, people come into their country, likely they're going to feel that is such a strong value for them that they don't mind disrespecting other people. So if they were to say these words or even take action on these words, they're so strongly aligned with their values that they would perceive that to be okay, and they'd likely have that supporting to feel strongly aligned with that. So I wonder what role values plays in shame as well, because again, if that's their values, they will have found the tribe that supports that value, which then means the shame is not going to be there because they're not acting out of the societal norms for the community they've surrounded themselves in.
Yeah.
You know, in the norm of society, if you were to be aggressive towards someone of a certain particular race or gender, that's against the societal norms. But if you're hanging around a group of people where the norm is to hate on a certain race or gender, then you're not going to feel shame because it's not against that societal norm.
Mm.
But I'm curious, is this correlation between maybe lack of empathy and shame. So Brené Brown suggests that empathy is fundamentally incompatible with shame. When we share a shameful experience with an empathetic person who still accepts us, the shame loses its power.
Yeah.
So that's interesting as well, because it's also suggesting that empathy is the antidote to shame.
Yeah, it's showing support for you when you're at your worst, isn't it?
Yeah, so maybe if you are feeling like you've done something wrong and you're guilt, because maybe it's not guilt. Guilt is you feel bad. Shame is the consequence, I guess. If you're feeling shame and you explain to someone what you've done wrong and how you're feeling about it, you experience the shame, you tell them about the pit in your stomach, you're not able to maintain eye contact, you're maybe diminishing your physical size as well. But you share this shame with someone, likely, if they're an empathetic person, they'll be able to maybe help you work through it. They might even understand to an extent something that you've done.
Mm.
So maybe, excuse me, empathy is both the antidote to it, if you're able to find someone that has a high level of empathy, but also shame could be, if you have a lack of empathy, shame diminishes.
Yeah. Yeah, because you block yourself off to it, don't you?
Yeah, individuals who lack emotion often display individuals who lack empathy often display reduced or absent feelings of shame and remorse for their actions that harm others. So this is common in narcissism and antisocial personality disorders and psychopaths. But that makes sense, because if you're removing empathy, you have depending on what degree of lack of empathy you feel, if you cannot empathize with the issue that you've caused or the pain that you've caused to other people or the societal norm that you've crossed, if you can't empathize with that, then you're not going to feel shame, because it's going to be irrelevant to you. So again, that would lean into the narcissism, the antisocial personality disorder, being a psychopath. Yeah, okay. It's interesting how empathy is both the antidote and also seems to be deep rooted in the cause as well.
It's to do with whether or not you understand your impact on others. Because if somebody offers you empathy when you're feeling shame, they're basically saying, look, you did something wrong and that behaviour was called out. This doesn't necessarily make you a bad person long term. It was just like the group's feelings that this is not a behaviour that's going to continue and be allowed to continue. But we don't fundamentally think of you as a bad person. But if you remove the empathy from the situation at all, the person doesn't feel shame in the first place, therefore doesn't receive any.
It's a weird duality, isn't it, actually? I've never looked that deeply into the relationship between empathy and shame. And it's odd that these two such different ends of the spectrum emotions or feelings cross over, because they do, in my mind, I almost perceive them to be different ends of human experiences. You know, empathy is deep rooted in experiencing someone else's way of living or way of life, whereas shame is, in my opinion, deeply insular. You know, you're experiencing that emotion yourself, for better or worse, whatever that might seem like. That is really odd. Do you feel like you have high levels of empathy?
No.
Do you've experienced a lot of shame then?
No.
Do you think maybe you'd feel more shame if you had more empathy?
Yeah, I also think I'd be less successful.
Tell me why.
You couldn't make the shorts that I make if you felt shame.
How so?
Because they don't provide value. They're me basically being an idiot and people watching because it's eye-catching and entertaining because it's not what most people do.
Is that shame or is that embarrassment?
Yeah, I think the two go semi-hand in hand.
And that's not me digging at you. That's me just trying to...
The embarrassment would be in the moment. Like when I was filming shorts in front of you.
Mm.
And then...
Did you get embarrassed when you were filming shorts in front of me? Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think twice.
That's why I had to re-record all the audio when you left.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think twice. I'm sorry, but I would have gone out of the room.
No, it was the same. Like you were out the room when I was recording. I was like, I can't do this with anyone around. But it's the same when I'm writing songs and Sophie's around. It took me a long time to get over that hurdle of it's okay for me to just sing the same line over and over and over and sing it badly when Sophie's around. Like that took forever for me to get over. She's the first person I've ever actually been able to like sing in front of and record a song and do it all properly and be happy with the result while they're around. It's because it's an embarrassing process. Because the other thing is when you're recording...
That's vulnerability though.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't do that.
Yeah, so you don't do vulnerability, but maybe you do empathy and shame. So maybe you turn off your vulnerability side when you're doing shorts, but you're doing them by yourself. Yeah, okay, so it's a weird duality there, but I did want to just dive into this. So relationship between empathy and shame have an inverse relationship. Shame thrives on secrecy, judgment, and disconnection, while empathy, categorized by understanding, connection, and compassion, acts as a powerful antidote, creating a safe space where shame cannot survive and fostering vulnerability and healing. Shame makes us feel flawed and unworthy, causing withdrawal, but empathy allows someone to say you're not alone by breaking the isolation. So I do just want to keep going on this. I apologize. I am reading from here. But so shame operates by isolation, self-criticism, and disconnection. Empathy counters this, but through connection, validation, safety, and resilience. So when someone feels shame, they often perceive others as critical, confirming their negative self-view. Conversely, offering empathy can break this cycle by demonstrating acceptance. My takeaway from that is how powerful empathy is.
Yeah. It can fix you when you're down and it can cause you to feel down.
Yeah, but empathy is extremely powerful. That ability to experience not only your life, but other people's around you, that's extremely powerful.
And sort of probably a building block of society.
How so?
If you understand how everyone else in the group would feel in a particular scenario, you know how to navigate it. If I know that if I don't know, shoot somebody in the group, that's going to upset everyone in the group, I'm less likely to want to do that. Because I don't want to get rejected.
Okay.
Would you agree? Disagree?
I'm just thinking about it. But I think you might be right. Yeah, I think you might be right. So shame attacks identity, not behavior.
Yeah.
So emotions respond to what we do. Shame responds to what we think we are.
Yeah, I guess that would be because if you're acting and like people, have you heard the thing? Even the people in the wrong think they're in the right. That's why they do it.
Yes.
That's you pre-shame. You're living your life and navigating the world in the way that you think best fits.
Yeah.
And then what happens when you're caught out on that behaviour or called out on that behaviour is you not only lose, you lose your sense of identity because you thought you were navigating the world in a way that fitted your world vision. And actually, the shame comes because you don't know if you can trust your social navigation skills.
So the shame embeds itself in the identity. So that's why maybe apologies, success, time, all these things don't necessarily help dissolve that shame. The shame comes from such an internal metric because it's not from behavior, it's from that identity, how you've chosen to navigate through life. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good analogy. Nice, man. You explained that really well.
I was babbling.
We're always babbling. That's kind of the point of this podcast, isn't it?
We just babble in public now instead of in private.
Yeah, true. So I suppose shame can turn feedback into personal condemnation. Because if you're receiving feedback that you perceive to be an attack on your identity, that's going to mean you're then going to start judging yourself significantly more powerfully.
Yeah. I think it's challenging your worldview. It's challenging what you think is right and wrong. It's challenging what you... It challenges how you behave. So although shame isn't caused necessarily by behaviour, it's caused by... shame challenges your identity because you're behaving in a way that your identity says is okay.
So is shame beneficial?
Yeah, because it's required for you to fit in. It's required for you to be a part of the group.
Is it always beneficial, though?
I think you can probably feel shame and not let that feeling go. You can hold on to it for too long.
So I wonder if that's maybe, like you say, the I'm a bad person. If you're holding on to something and it's shaping your identity and it's like a virus that's just stuck in there, that might be bad shame.
Yeah.
You know, unhealthy shame.
But it's still going to correct wrong behaviour.
Is it, though? If it's fundamentally flawed in terms of... Or rather, if you've got a fundamental flaw that you're... Belief that you're flawed. Sorry, it took me a while to get there. If you've got a fundamental belief that you are flawed, e.g. I'm a bad person, that shame is going to be deep-rooted there. And that's not necessarily going to be beneficial because you need to break that cycle to grow on it, wouldn't you? Whereas if you've done something wrong, like you've acted immorally, you know, we've that's an interesting one. We both know an acquaintance, a friend that's doing something wrong. In that moment, not feeling it, but it's an immoral behavior. And likely, the shame they might feel at the end will be pretty strong because it's protecting that moral behaviors.
Yeah.
And it's discouraging immoral behaviors.
And that shame is well deserved as well.
Yeah. Sometimes shame is deserved.
But yeah, it's society's way of correcting
but it
immoral
doesn't have
behavior.
to be loaded with judgment. You know, we're saying in this scenario, that shame is well deserved, and arguably it is.
There's no argument.
It is deserved. I don't know about you, but I would still be empathetic to that person, though, regardless, because that's the way to break the shame. That's the way of like, yes, you fucked up, but let's work on it. Let's adjust this. Because again,
well, I suppose there's different lines for different people, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
I instantly jump to like, there's just certain barriers you don't break, and that is one of them. So you'd have to show me with action and actively do positive things to start to undo that in my head. Like, yeah. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more it just winds me up.
So if the shame is motivating for change and growth and positive action, it's healthy.
Yeah.
Okay, but if it's deep-rooted in a sense of not feeling good enough, feeling like you're constantly a bad person, leading to like avoidance or withdrawal, that's likely unhealthy shame. Okay.
I think that's a good framing.
So shame is multifaceted.
Yes.
Many layers. And
as are most things.
Nah, everything's linear.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like YouTube growth.
Obviously. Oh, you've seen our graph. It's a consistent straight line. Yeah. Yeah, so I suppose wrapping up of this, guilt says I made a mistake. Shame says I am the mistake.
Yes.
Shame takes it that step further. And it attacks the identity. It gets rooted in there. We attach onto it and our identity feels attacked. Which is likely why it feels quite hard to shake the shame.
It's quite painful to go through.
Yes, it's very painful to go through. I'm sure there's loads of people that have experienced shame, and it does feel like a punch in the gut, the drop of the stomach. You could say as well, if you have a slightly higher EQ, so a slightly bigger ability to feel empathy, that shame might feel even larger as well. Or if you've had maybe a difficult upbringing or you've struggled with self-worth anyway, that shame might feel like it's dragging you down further as well, because you might feel in that moment you're judging yourself even more harshly than maybe someone that has a better self-talk might.
Yeah. And also with more, if you have more empathy, you're going to be able to feel more deeply the hurt and upset you cause other people.
Yes, agreed. So do you think shame then is a social emotion?
Yeah. I think its input is social, because you will only feel shame if somebody catches you out on something. Or would you feel shame from self-reflection?
I think you'd feel shame from self-reflection. It's probably more stark from environmental circumstances, from having it mirrored back to you.
Yeah.
But I definitely think on self-reflection you could. You know, I know you're not a big fan of The Office, the US Office, but
it's all right.
In the US Office, there's an episode where Michael is having a relationship with someone who's married, and he makes this big scene about how he's going to go like hook up with her in a motel, and it's going to be dirty, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and he drives there, and as he's driving, all the lessons that other people have told him start coming through, and he starts reflecting, and then he goes back in the other room, he comes back to the office, starts eating ice cream because he's realised he kind of fucked up. So I think there's shame that you would feel from internal as well, but I suppose shame is very much a social emotion because it's evolved to keep us in line socially, environmentally, probably to prevent social exclusion, like on the long term, really, isn't it? If the shame is telling us we've done something wrong contrary to what the societal norms are, it's probably there to prevent social exclusion, because it's telling you, no, that was wrong, that's incorrect in regards to what the society wants us to be. Correct that, you'll be safer in the social environment, so you won't be excluded. Like you said with the hunter-gatherer times, if we didn't feel shame, we'd probably be excluding ourselves consistently from the tribe.
Everyone would keep putting batteries in toilets.
This is it. Whoever puts batteries in toilets. God damn.
I've always liked thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, shame.
Yeah, shame. I just wanted you to sit in that. Do you think shame can be witnessed by other people then? So I know we've touched on this already, but if it's an emotion that we have evolved with to keep us in line with the environment, would shame feel unbearable when witnessed? So, oh no, someone else can see this as well. Yeah, because maybe it's one thing to judge yourself, and then to have on top that pressure feels strong.
Maybe you feel shame internally, but to others, once you see other people seeing you feeling shame, that's when the embarrassment kicks in.
So maybe that's the next step.
Or it's
guilt,
just
shame, embarrassment.
Multi-layered. It's like you're feeling shame, and then as soon as other people see you feeling shame, you feel embarrassed. As well as the shame. And
it's
then
like a little prize emotion that you get in the end.
And then the post processing of the shame, and once the other person's left and you feel embarrassed, after that you would feel the guilt about, I still did that thing wrong. But guilt is more intellectualized, I would say, rather than feeling it in the body.
Yes, I would agree with that. I definitely think guilt, because you're aware you've done something wrong, that's a mental thing. Oh no, can make sense that I've done something wrong, And you can make sense of that in your brain, whereas the shame is the visceral response. It's the emotion going, nope, this is you in your body now. I'm telling you, you're going to feel this pain. You're going to experience this emotion.
Yeah.
It's the presencing of that guilt. Excuse me.
It's a difficult one to talk about, isn't it?
It is. I was just wondering there, because we've been talking a lot about the community and the environment. I don't know about you, but I've been thinking on like a small scale of community, local tribe. Do you think social media has made this more visible?
Amplified it.
Yeah, maybe amplified the shame, exactly.
Yeah, it's like public humiliation, isn't it?
Yeah, I wondered. I got really excited. Yeah, public humiliation. Go, Will. Go stick those batteries in the toilet.
Yeah, the public element is always going to be more embarrassing and might actually cause you to feel deeper shame.
But I'm curious. Well, yeah, it might as well, because it might amplify it. If you've done something that is so clearly wrong. Like, I wonder. Joey Swoll, have you ever seen his videos on Instagram or Facebook? Joey Swoll. He finds videos of people in the gym where they've had a go at people for walking across their filming or whatever it might be. And he's like, nope, this is in the wrong. You shouldn't have done that, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if the people that he's calling out feel shame or guilt or embarrassment. But because it's then broadcast on a larger scale, maybe that shame gets amplified, as you said, because it's been broadcast to not only your community but the world at large, and suddenly everyone's aware of how bad you fucked up.
And it gives the person criticizing you more credibility as well, because you're like, oh, well, you just assume if somebody's got 1 million subscribers and they say something, you're going to assume that they have 1 million people that agree with them.
Yes, but then you could also say that it is on a very larger scale encouraging society into a positive light, because again, this guy Joey Swoll does awesome work. You know, he's telling people how they should react in the gym to make the gym a more healthy and inviting place for people, pushing away these people that are maybe a little bit more self-entitled. Don't walk across my tripod when I'm filming in this entire gym. So maybe, although it might amplify the shame, maybe it is a benefit in some regard, but I do wonder the pressure that must cause someone that does get shown up on such a grand scale. Would it make them double down because there's so much evidence? But again, maybe that's where the empathy comes in. Is, do they have the empathy to go, you know, oh yeah, shit, okay, I messed up. Maybe if I take ownership and go, yes, I messed up. And they use that global platform to acknowledge it, to say they want to work on being better. They can use that in a positive way, or maybe it would cause them to double down and go, nope, I stand by what I did, what I said, how I acted. So maybe it amplifies the shame.
Maybe it also amplifies the willingness of the individual with the following to seek out people to publicly shame.
Say that again.
Maybe it amplifies the willingness of the person with the following to go and seek out people to publicly shame. So they're more motivated to shame people on their channels because they've got the big following. They know they can have a really big impact.
Maybe. Do you perceive that to be a positive?
No.
Why not?
Because by the very fact you've got a following, you're being encouraged to do something you wouldn't authentically do.
But maybe they are authentic with it. It's just on a larger scale now. Maybe they would be that guy at the gym that's like, hey, no, you're doing something wrong.
But we're saying, would they be more motivated to do that if they had the following? Because if it gets more clicks than all their other videos, they're now going to think, oh, I need to recreate this.
Yeah, likely, because again, that's what Joey Swoll's content is about. But Joey Swoll's doing awesome work. I don't think anything he's doing is wrong. It's just drawing global attention to...
Yeah, do you think that's an outproportioned punishment for the individual?
It could be, yes. Yes, and this is why I wonder if that person has a high degree of empathy, if they really feel that shame on a huge level now because it's been put across multi-platforms and reached millions of people. So yes, I wonder if there is a danger of that. So it likely, amplifies the shame to a level we're maybe not trained to cope with.
No, I don't think anyone's trained for like a million eyes on them.
But this is it, is we're only, we've got this social media, this platform to get us across the world in a click. But are we designed for that?
No. I suppose life is really about building meaningful relationships, isn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe the appropriate response to the guy walking in front of the tripod while somebody's filming, which, by the way, if that's like the biggest problem in the world, like we're doing well as a society, like maybe getting on a tannoy system within the gym would be an appropriate response and call them out in front of everyone in the gym. But then again, not everyone in the gym will care. Like if I'm in the gym working out, doing my own thing, and somebody else walks across somebody else's tripod, like, I don't want to be told, I don't want to be involved, I don't care.
Yeah, but if the person who's put up the tripod makes a big deal of it and has a go at the person for walking across their tripod.
They're still filming in a public gym, though.
Yeah, but that's the argument, is they can film, but they then can't get annoyed because they're filming in a public place.
Oh, right. So this Joey Swell was calling out the person for filming.
Yes.
Right, not the guy who walked.
No.
Right, that's why I was a bit confused. I was like, that seems way out of proportion.
Joey Swell does the Lord's work. So if someone has set up a tripod and someone's like filming their bench press and someone walks across and they're like, no, I'm filming, get out the way. Like, I've seen ones where people were there posing in front of a mirror. Someone physically like pushes someone out the way so they can continue posing. He's like, don't you put your hands on other people. You're filming in a public place. This is unacceptable.
That makes more sense. Yeah, that's honourable work. Calling out the person walking in front of somebody else's tripod is like, no.
Get out of his way, you dick. He was going for a bench PR. That's funny. I like how you assumed it was that way. Maybe I didn't explain it very well. But Joey Swell was doing the Lord's work. What a guy.
Yeah.
He's also massive.
We've got a friend that filmed in gyms. I think he uploaded 60 videos, has he?
He was pretty consistent for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah, he definitely did 30 days in a row. I think he had a break, then did another 30. I might be wrong. He might have just done the first 30. But he filmed in public gyms. But he was considerate about it. He went at like 1 a.m, 2 a.m.
He did. I don't know how he did that. He
went to sleep, woke up, went to the gym just to film the content. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm so bummed for him he didn't stay consistent because...
Yeah, like, and he can pick up at any time. It's like, you can just do it.
But the level of commitment that takes is so admirable.
That was a lot of... And I ended up speaking to him. I was like... Because you know his Instagram stories that he posts where he just talks about what he's eating or like fun, interesting questions. Yeah. Like, you can do that just on a drive somewhere, you know? And that is more authentic to him and requires no editing, no effort. So that would be better content for him and much lower barrier to entry. Whereas the really high produced videos that he was making is a very high barrier to entry. And yeah, no wonder it wore him out because that's a lot to go from zero to that. Yeah, is a lot. Whereas somebody who's had a slow evolution of like making videos in their cars and then eventually sitting down and talking just to like their phone, then eventually they get a camera, then eventually they get lighting, and then it's in a studio, and then, you know, there's a clear evolution. It doesn't seem like a big jump.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about shame, and say someone's called you out or you're experiencing the emotion, does it motivate growth or does it trigger protection? Because it might not create accountability, it might create defense. You know, like, again, on this large scenario of social media, it might cause someone to get even more defensive of their stance.
Yeah, but at that point, are they feeling shame? Probably not.
But this is my thought, is does shame ask someone how can they grow, how can they learn from this, or is it how do I protect myself, how do I avoid feeling this again? Or is that the same question just phrased in different ways?
I think you have to face the shame so you can avoid feeling like that again for that specific thing. I think most people have felt shame multiple times in their lives, which has been where they've gone, right, I'm living on this trajectory. Oh, wait, I've been told that this is wrong. I feel shame. What did I do wrong? Okay, cool. I won't do that again. Go along a slightly different trajectory, get a little bit further. Then they do something else wrong in a new scenario they've not been in before. Feel shame because it's been corrected. Come back down. Oh, I'm on this new trajectory now, and then they're fine.
So do they use that shame as growth, or do they use it protection to avoid?
I think shame's like the walls you bounce off. It's like you come up to resistance and you either decide that what the other person's saying you still don't fundamentally agree with, you don't feel any shame, you carry on living down that thing and probably winding up a lot of people throughout your life.
But the reason I asked this is when I was doing the research into shame is it suggested that shame can increase avoidance, secrecy, aggression, withdrawal. So it reduces the learning capacity by narrowing attention and increasing threat vigilance. So shame-based cultures produce compliance, not creativity or healing.
Yeah, it's like respect through fear.
Yeah. So does shame make people feel like they have the space to grow, or does it trigger them into just self-protection?
Probably self-protection.
Because we've been looking at shame as if it can be extremely beneficial, but it might be that it is also extremely damaging as well.
For the individual, I think it's always beneficial for the wider group.
Yeah, based on if they've done something that is against the flow of that community. Yes, of course, it would be better for the community that person then felt shame so they could act aligned.
Or even if they withdrew from the group.
Yeah, the same outcome, isn't it?
So for the individual, I guess that's like, it comes down to strength of character. Like, are you the type of person that in the face of shame will still try and get up and rebuild relationships, rebuild connections with people? Or are you the type of person who will just shut themselves away forever? Like, I think it's okay for there to be a period where you're in a state of self-reflection, because you want to obviously process the shame. You want to process, okay, what happened in that situation that caused me to get called out on it? Was there a blatant activity I did that I feel was wrong? I've been told it's wrong. Do I agree with that being wrong? And like stand on their own principles and be like, actually, yeah, no, now I can see the other person's perspective. And also how strongly you're called out on it.
Yeah.
I think makes a difference. Like, tying in with the social media thing, if somebody calls you out on something then and you feel shame, it's on a grand scale, it's a lot more potent. Mind you don't feel, like if somebody comes up to you with a camera, you don't feel the presence of a million people. So maybe it doesn't impact the individual at all.
No. I'm just curious, this link between shame and maybe people pleasing. But yeah. I suppose it depends on what thing you feel shameful about. You know, because there's probably a link between shame and addiction as well. Because if you're feeling shame, there might be people that lean towards numbing that feeling, hiding, escaping, which many people probably use through drugs and alcohol, or, you know, maybe gambling, sex, whatever it might be, whatever addiction you choose to put there. They're just numbing that emotion.
Yeah, it's like a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But is that the group's fault? If somebody acts out of line, should the group not speak up? No, I think they should.
I think they should, but I suppose it depends.
But then there should be better aftercare, maybe?
Yeah.
If a group's going to call them out, they've also got to check up on them.
More empathy. But I suppose it depends, is the earnest onto the person that feels the shame? Is it the group that they want to try and align with? You know, back to the racism example. If someone felt shame because they weren't acting aligned with the groups of this racist, the values of this racist group, do they want to be part of that group? I know it's a pretty out there analogy, but
yeah, it makes the point.
Does unfortunately drive it home. Yeah. So does shame ask us to hide? Does it ask us to protect ourselves rather than grow from it? And how do you change it from asking you to hide and protect yourself to trying to grow from it? Is that where shame should take you to growth?
I think the ultimate purpose is to inspire change, to not reenact an action.
Mm-hmm.
I think shame in itself is a necessary emotion. So however you process that is going to be on the individual and how they choose to get through that. And basically, is it a question of speed? Are we after people to get over the shame quickly? Where if somebody was to get told they did something wrong, immediately process it with shame, and then 30 seconds later we're back in the group and their vibrant self. It's like, I don't think the group would think that
they've processed.
Yeah, or it's had a thing. So maybe not speed. There's got to be an appropriate amount of time. Mind you, a month is too long for you to completely withdraw out the group and then come back. Maybe it depends on what the thing you did wrong was.
Yeah, maybe this is it. Maybe it does completely depend on what the thing is.
Mm.
You know, if you've slapped a child, maybe you need a little bit longer.
Yeah, half an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe if you've just stubbed your toe and said a really bad word, maybe you don't need as long. Nuanced. Shame.
It is.
But it's an emotion we feel. It's not an emotion we try and intellectualize, really, is it?
Yeah.
And when you feel it, it makes you want to hide, makes you want to withdraw, and you want to end the emotion as quick as possible. So it's not when you want to go, hold on a minute, let me think about this, let me process it. You're just like, I want this to stop. I want this emotion to just run away, not be near me, so I can move on. That's what you want when you feel shame. That's what I want. I think I've only had one time majorly in my life where I felt a big degree of shame, and it was horrible, and I hated it. But ultimately, it did make me a better person. So it's interesting, but it does make you withdraw, doesn't it? Maybe you've got to have the resiliency to reflect on the moment, to reflect on the I did something wrong, and understand you did something wrong, and move past it. Maybe it's the integration. Maybe it's the integration of the shame.
Yeah. I mean, another way to look at it might be you've then got to show the group that you took on board what they said and can now act appropriately. And then it's building up that trust and with proof and action that you have changed. So maybe it's less of an internal battle actually changing the thing. It's like, okay, well, I just don't do that. But processing of the shame is the internal battle.
Yeah, that is the battle. I suppose also a battle is trying to not turn it into anger, because shame could convert into anger quite quickly as like a defense mechanism. You know, I'm sure there's loads of things it could move over to, but I think anger would probably be the most destructive, realistically. If you've done something bad and you're feeling shame and then you then get angry, that's probably very destructive.
Yeah.
Has your shame ever felt like going towards anger? Or is it just all-encompassing that you just don't know how to even move past that?
No, I just withdraw. It's just easier for me to hide away. Throw myself into some like individual work. Things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's ever turned to anger towards me, but again, as we've explored in this conversation of ongoing friendship, is anger is not an emotion I readily welcome into my life. So if shame says I am bad, what would it mean to answer with curiosity instead of punishment? Which I suppose is what we're getting to, isn't it? Is look at the shame you're feeling. Look with curiosity, look with kindness and empathy towards yourself, as we've discussed. Empathy is the antidote, rather than looking with punishment, rather than looking to ostracize yourself and withdraw and judge yourself. Maybe we need to look with curiosity, and we need to really invite that emotion. As we said, it's a real visceral one that we don't want to feel, so maybe we do just need to look with kindness at it.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because is the intent of the group to cause shame, or is the intent of the group just to change a behaviour? I think the intent of the group, in terms of outcomes, they only want that behaviour to not be repeated.
But shame comes from fear of rejection, surely.
Yeah.
Or rather, it's a seed that it could come from.
Mm.
But I suppose I do think self-compassion probably has a huge part to play.
Yeah, on the individual.
Yeah, if you're experiencing the emotion, whether you deserve to or not, chances are you probably do. But self-compassion is likely going to go a long way to integrating that emotion to move past it. Because it's not about trying to numb it, is it? It's not about repressing the emotion. It's not about changing it into a different emotion that's more volatile. It's not about numbing it to the point of not feeling it. It's about integrating it. It's about compassion to look at it. It's about the time and space to let it be what it needs to be. Yeah, I don't know. I've just never looked this deeply into shame. It's been really enjoyable.
No, I've not ever thought. It's been a difficult conversation, actually, because even if we had the things to talk about, there's not a right or wrong answer anyway. So it's like it's difficult to have clarity and have like big takeaway, life-changing impact.
No, I always find these conversations really interesting because sometimes we can go into this pit of sand and we shake it about and we're able to make a little bit more sense of it. Sometimes we shake it about and it gets in our eyes and we've lost sight.
Yeah. Sometimes we shake it and it's still sand.
Yeah. And this feels like one of those times where we're shaking things about and we go, wow, like there's a lot here.
Yeah.
Let me just put it back. Like,
Yeah.
we'll come back to this in 100 episodes and maybe we've got more insights, but
we'll bring on a shame expert.
Is there a shame expert?
There's gotta be somebody that studied it.
Let's see.
Maybe it's not. Maybe we found a gap in science.
I mean, Brené Brown would always be. That's a huge goal of mine to have on. You know who Brené Brown is?
No.
Dr. Brené Brown. Stephen Bartlett actually recently had her on his podcast, but yes, I very much would like to have her on. She's a researcher, storyteller. She's an American academic. She has her own podcast as well.
Oh, so, cool.
Brené Brown. Yeah, Stephen Bartlett, Brené Brown, the algorithm that forced us into a hidden something, I don't know. But yeah, Brené Brown. Apparently there's a few more in here. Dr. June Tagney. William Bynum.
He's got a good name.
Dr. Paul Gilbert.
Yeah, Paul Gilbert couldn't have been anything other than doctor.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, there you go. Dr. Brené Brown. Shame versus guilt. There is interesting. Yeah, man, really enjoyed it. Been really, really good. Been a good 78th episode. Or it might be. We might slot something else in, so it might not be 78. But at this point, it feels like 78.
It's the 78th one that we've filmed. Whether it goes out 78th or not.
Yeah, that's true.
It will. I'll make sure of it.
Any key talking points for you? Anything else to take home?
I think it's just my takeaway isn't much of a takeaway. It was like the experience of talking about shame and how it manifests and how it sort of impacts our lives has been an interesting thought process. That would be my takeaway.
Yeah, I found it really interesting looking into the relationship between empathy and shame. That I found really cool and really nuanced, how it's both a trigger and an antidote at the same time. How self-compassion gets thrown in there as well. I found that whole relationship super interesting, man. I've also found it really valuable to know that I can't just put batteries in a toilet and it starts a fire. That's been really important to know.
Revolutionary.
It is, yeah. I'll make sure that I'll take the batteries out of your toilet because I've been trying to start a fire here for years. Yeah, I've only been here for 1 year, but I've been trying for 2.
Throwing them through the window.
Yeah. But yeah, man. We're done. What? Don't shake my hand yet. What's your final word?
Cave diving.
Cave Cave diving. What the fuck is cave diving?
Well, you go diving in a cave. Scuba, not.
You always tuck your chair in. Such a good lad.